So like Jason asked, what is air service development? What is my role there? In short, it's the process of attracting new airline routes and improving flight options at an airport. But that's not only it, it's also retaining current routes that we have, um, adding frequency, upgauging. I'll get into that a little bit later. So it's about expanding travel options, whether it's to support tourism, business, or simply making travel easier. So airlines don't add flights without careful consideration. So some of the questions they ask is, will people use this route? Will it be profitable? Will it be sustainable? We want nothing but sustainable service in Madison, because you don't want an airline to start a route and then pull it 6 months later, a year later. It's not profitable. If it's not sustainable, it's not worth going after. So airlines make decisions on new routes, flight schedules, and pricing based on factors like market demand, operational costs, and available resources. That's where airport leaders, local governments, and businesses step in. We gather data, show demand, and build relationships with airline partners. And Jason is very kind enough to join our newest airport council group, along with Ellie, the chamber with Zach Brandon, the Mad Rep, all our partners that we've created with the airport. And it's been great. I appreciate working with you over the past 2 years, and you've been nothing but a great source of data. And same thing with Ellie, all the economic data that we can get, all the population trends, demographics, all that stuff is key to these airline meetings that I attend. So air service development isn't just about convenience, it's definitely about economic impact. So more flights means more visitors, more tourism dollars, and better business access. New route can bring jobs, attract investment, and retain local talent. Some of the strategies for air service, I meet regularly with airline representatives to advocate for new destinations, increase flight frequency, and better connectivity. Some of the things that I attend are industry events, conferences. So I'm actually attending a conference called Jumpstart next month. And I have 8 meetings or 8 airline meetings. And this is kind of like a speed dating type of sit down in front of an airline in 20 minutes. So you better hurry up. Gotta get to the point real quick. And
that's why I'm not going to this one.
No, you did great on the last one. So with these meetings, we kind of hit high level points, key points that we kind of give them golden nuggets is what we call them about the area, about Madison, something the airlines don't know about. What might surprise you, or might not surprise you, airlines know their business. They know the Madison market, they know all the markets that they serve. It's up to us, up to the community to provide the specifics about Madison that they might not know about. So they have all the data for how many passengers they're flying out of Madison, who's connecting where they're flying to, all that kind of stuff. And that's good to have present to them, just to kind of hit on key points, just to kind of remind them what's going on. But with all that being said, with these industry events, what our major goal is to get headquarters meetings, is to go to the airline's headquarters and meet with them, have like a long meeting, hour-long meeting compared to 20 minutes, and then get into those fine details about that. Another strategy, like I mentioned earlier, upgauging or increasing the size of aircraft and subsequent number of seats on a route. So we provide airlines with data for passenger demand, regional growth, economic impact to make the case for expanded service. The golden goose egg that we're striving for is obviously new routes, new destinations, but we'll take little wins wherever we can get them, whether it's upgauging an aircraft from a CRJ7 or 9 from like 76 seats to an A320 or a Boeing 737 to 180 seats. That's a win for us. More seats means more people are flying, compared, and then frequency as well. So if we can get more frequency, just like you mentioned with our news dropping earlier this week with American Airlines starting service to LaGuardia September 7th. We've already had LaGuardia service with Delta twice a day, but now American is stepping up to serve that same market. So increased competition means more flights, hopefully lowering fares as well, so.
When that happens, Tom, do you see that Delta then all of a sudden might pull back and not provide 2 flights and only do 1 or something?
It depends, so airline economics is very touchy, it's very complex. They could go either way, they might
Okay.
reduce a flight, they may lower their fares even more than American would, so Delta's pretty known for that. They kind of drive away competition by lowering fares because they can take a hit.
Yeah.
But American's been very dominant in our market, and I'll get into that here a little bit later.
I got one example, not to step in, but, again, I should say I am the chair of the airport commission, so super thankful to work directly with Tom. One instance, I think the best comparison is what's happening now with American adding LaGuardia service is American 2 years ago added service to DCA, so Washington Reagan National. And Delta already had 1 daily flight. Delta has kept that flight for 2 years at the exact same time. That flight is still full. And actually what the American was so successful, how quickly they added a second flight, it was within a month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
couple
2 or 3
months.
months, yeah.
yeah.
They added a second.
And
sequence.
Admittedly, what we see is lower fares to that market, right? Because you have the competition. So that news from American was very positive for the consumer in Madison. Along with some others, which I'm sure you'll hint at earlier, they've added significant flights in other places as well.
So I'll get into our presentation that was conglomerated by DMI, Destination Madison, MadRep, the Chamber. This is kind of like a little snapshot of what we present. So we get into, you know, the region. It's not just Dane County that that passengers are flying out of. It's the Dane County region. I'll get into a little bit more detail about our catchment area and studies that we've done as well. So what airlines like to see is pretty much demographics, population. So we showed that the population is 655,000 within 30 miles, and then over 1 million within 45 miles with a buying income of 32.2 billion. Obviously, our biggest competitors are Milwaukee, just an hour and a half east of us, and then O'Hare, about 2.5 hours southeast of us. What we highlight is that Madison is a very high income region. Over 42% of households had an income of over 100,000. Going on into, oh, go ahead.
How do those numbers track versus Milwaukee? I'm guessing ours are improving and theirs are.
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
in terms of like the income or like population.
Income,
Yeah.
the whole thing, you use that as a subtle argument of you should be shifting flights to Milwaukee, Madison.
So Wisconsin airports kind of have to, we kind of have to stick together, you know?
That's subtle.
Yeah. It's it is apparent. I mean, there's obviously a population migration out of Milwaukee. Population is increasing in Madison, and we do highlight that. I'll get into that here in the next few slides. I don't specifically go out there and subtly attack Milwaukee, but it's seen with the reduction in flights. So
Numbers tell the story.
yes, they do. At the beginning of the year, JetBlue has cut service to Boston out of Milwaukee. They used to have year-round service. Now it's only seasonal. Spirit has reduced capacity significantly. Southwest has reduced capacity at Milwaukee significantly as well. The first 3 months of this year, they've had their throughput of passengers through the TSA checkpoints at a negative each month, whereas we have been increasing each month. So the numbers are there. I don't have to, the airlines already see that.
Good.
And they're making adjustments as needed, which might be good news for us. You know, I'm optimistic about it, and I think we can definitely add service with our market and our growing populations.
On this slide we're on now, just not to step in, but I've done this presentation 100 times with them. The airlines really pick up when you talk about the income levels in Madison, the education levels in Madison. He'll get into it later in the slide, what the customers are paying right now for tickets. This is important information for airlines, right? They're making business decisions, and are high economic, and the amount of travel that we have. One thing that I'm sure you'll get to later, oh, never mind, I won't, I know it's a slide later. I'll shut up.
No worries.
Assuming it's the epic, epic.
Yeah,
Everybody's waiting for him.
yeah, it's coming, just wait for it, I'll just wait for it, yeah.
So here we get into a little bit more detail about population, the regional employment, average earnings per job. Like I mentioned, population trends. I think Jason came up with this one. Oh, is it not showing up? It's not going. Oh, there it is. Okay.
No, Zach did. No,
Okay, Zach did. All right. So airlines love to see this, that there's gonna be more people flying out of our market. And it's a growing market, so it's important for them to invest in Madison.
But we're seeing that, we just got the activity numbers for Q1. Very impressive, the highest numbers we've ever seen at the airport.
I'll bring up another point. You forget how nice the airport is now. When you
Right.
go out or you come back in, there's new sections.
Yep.
And how busy it is at 11:30 at night. I mean, it is a nice airport.
It is.
And you keep thinking of the old days, but every time you go there, why should I drive to Chicago?
Right.
Exactly,
It's a
you
beautiful-
wanna come on the meetings with us?
Yeah.
We'll put you on a billboard.
And parking's convenient, everything's convenient. It's really a nice airport and the TSA is fast.
Yeah.
We are recording this, right? This is great.
Very much so.
It's fair as I agree. I'll get into it a little bit later, but just to highlight what you said, why drive to Chicago? You know, obviously they do have more nonstop service than we do. They have international service. But you're connecting via vehicle. Whereas you can connect via flight out of Madison through Chicago or whatever hub that you may choose. And I'm like you, I like to come back home and have a 15-20 minute drive home rather than
Right.
land in Chicago and then drive 2.5 hours back home. It's an extra leg of
And pay for the parking while you're there.
Exactly, yeah. And I find my time very valuable, so if I could save 2.5 hours, I'll fly out of Madison every time. Then we get into population by age. So we do highlight that Madison is a very young community. We do highlight the Gen Z here pretty heavily. So we get into a little bit more details about Gen Z residents, and then like all the stats behind it. Where Gen Z is getting hired, big cities that are migrating into like Madison, and then we compete with cities such as Austin, Boston, Pittsburgh, Nashville. All those cities we're up there with them. And airlines like to see that too, because there's growth in those cities as well. And we have to kind of put ourselves out there to make ourselves.
Yeah, I would argue that, so this is, but people should understand, this is a relatively unique strategy. It's a new strategy for Madison. We just went to a conference in, it's another speed dating event in Green Bay in November, December, whatever that was. And there were 125, 150 airports there. The groups that had the coordination between the chamber, Destination Madison, the civic organizations and the airport, there were 5 like me at that meeting.
Something like that.
We're able to do, I actually do the first part of the presentation. That's why I keep cutting him off, because this is my part of the presentation. Is that this is what they want. They have the numbers. They have the PDU, the passengers direct each way. They have all of that information. But what they're trying to figure out is what the future looks like. And we have this information that shows us what the future can look like. And this is where the growth is coming. The young people are coming. Young people right now, they know it, are traveling more than they ever have. Experiences matter. And so this data really lands well. We have this unique strategy, and I think we should certainly applaud Destination Madison, the Chamber of Commerce, MadRec, Epic, UW. I know Brenda's on right now, but several people that are part of this. It's all really a community effort to try to build this airport up.
Sure.
The town should be thanked, and Kim before and now, certainly Mark, Gene, and the entire team at the airport for using this new strategy.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. I mean, it's like you said, a community effort. It's not just the airport speaking on behalf of on behalf of the passengers. It's the entire community wanting the same exact thing that we all do. So then we get into things like this. Number 1 most livable city. It's any accolades and awards that we can present to the airlines. That's something we can boast about. When we get into Madison's business community, show top growing occupations. You go into showing that we're a very diverse economy. Kind of highlight our biggest sectors and employers, obviously Epic, UW Health, government with the state of Wisconsin, bioscience, exact sciences, agriculture, a good mix of employers and diversity in the economy. And then there's some more slides, how we get into how Madison's a tech hub now, competing with the likes of, like I said, Austin, Colorado Springs.
How deep do you go into the epic ethos?
There's a
You'll
slide
see.
on it.
Very
Yeah.
deep.
So, yeah, then we kind of highlight all the things that we've got going for us. Highest concentration of software publishing jobs, competing with the likes of
Yeah.
Seattle and Silicon Valley.
This one,
It's
yeah.
that hits hard.
This slide, it's very hard, particularly because we're heavily recruiting
Yeah.
Seattle and San Francisco.
The life science leader. I love that quote. We need 10 more Madisons.
I should use that. I'll up it. We need 11. This one goes to 11.
One slide for us, Tom.
Sure.
I was just looking at the dates. Some of the I love these, I love this deck, but it does appear to be 2 or 3 years old. So anything
Correct.
I'm looking at that says 2024 on it catches my attention.
Mhm.
It looks good. Rank number 30. Yeah, that's it. Throw some
Sure.
24 data out there. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. So with the help of all these in the room, all these on the call, I'll have my contact information here at the end. And Jason,
We're
you're
constantly updating
Yeah.
this.
feel free to share my contact information. I got cards. Anything that you may have that you think may be beneficial for me to bring to airlines, please send it my way. We'll incorporate it if we think it's valuable. And yeah, the latest data is obviously the best. And like Jason said, we're updating this constantly, so.
Jason, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I'm not seeing any presentation on the screen. I'm looking at all of you.
Is there, no one else?
I don't know about
see?
others, but I can't see the
You
slides.
can't see the picture of Ilstrup with a sombrero right now? You don't see the sombrero
Uh-oh.
photo?
We see all of you, all of your lovely faces.
I'm seeing the slides.
I see the slides.
Oh, you do? How am I not seeing them?
No.
There is a toggle.
I don't know that. I don't know.
Peggy, you may have your, there, you can move left to right the video and there's like a little line, like a vertical line between the two. You might be able to move that. So
I'll
you
figure
can
it out. I don't want to interrupt the presentation. Thanks.
This answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so we have a slide on Epic showing how much they travel out of the airport. The frequent customer events with XGM just happening last month into this month, and then UGM in August. And then this shows their top 5 markets. New York LaGuardia being their first one. That's why American added another LaGuardia flight. San Diego, Boston, Memphis, Houston. And then in 2024, by the Business Travel News, they've been ranked number 34 as their corporate travel spending list. So they're up there with the likes of Walmart.
I mean, they're literally sandwiched between Walmart and GE,
Yeah.
which are companies 10, 20, 30, 50x bigger than them. It's remarkable.
It is.
This changes everything for us. I mean, it really does. When people, everyone, they know it already, but they're completely, this is such powerful information. And it's so important for us that Aaron McWilliams, the director of travel for Epic, is part of the coalition and actually has traveled with us in the past to go on these visits. And when she speaks, they are listening. I mean, their travel budget is in the hundreds of millions. I mean, I have no idea what it is. And that is their their epic.com travel, right? The people that have that and their employees. He talked about it. That is not including the groups, Kaiser, whoever that's coming
Visitors.
to visitors, right? Because they're training requirements at the hospitals. This is an absolute huge feather in our cap. It is so important for the airport.
Is there any reason you'd wanna, I love the photo, that's really cool building, but
Did you not build that
we
building?
did build that
Okay.
building, yeah. Well, I love the submarine stuff, but to show the whole campus. what
Yes.
that-
Oh,
A little bit, there's literally, I'm guessing here, right, but there's.
but we need to change the photo every 30, 60 days though.
But with showing the whole campus.
Yeah, that's a
big
great
buildings
idea.
compared to,
Yeah.
one-off.
Get a drone shot.
Yeah, just,
People understand the
Well,
scale.
welcome now.
Just a
You looked
scale.
at when they picked up the 300 acre Roanoke as city massive, understand it. And all they had to do is give a tip for 3.5 million for a park grant. If you could show the original picture, the beauty of that big, which has happened when you go through Austin, you can't get through the friggin' town. It's too crowded. How they have all that expansion out there and how that's helped everything coming in, but that is. I think you hit it on the head. The whole campus was very impressive, because when you look at that picture, hey, where in Europe is that? So that's a very good point.
Europe known for their octopus sculpture.
Awesome.
Then we get into, obviously, home of UW Madison. We get into
Yeah.
some details about the university, total enrollment of 52,000. A solid international student enrollment as well. And then member of the growing NCAA Big Ten Conference, obviously expanding into to the West. And we kind of highlight that as well.
And that's where we.
Oh, yeah, to the, yeah,
You can.
all right. So
I'm not gonna break the news.
Delta is adding some college football flights to Seattle, or I forget which way.
Portland.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
in Seattle
or,
Airport.
yeah. So I forget which, if Seattle comes here. I think, either way, there's flights to and from Seattle, Portland, and Alabama.
Just for those specific weekends?
Yeah, just for those games.
Yeah,
So,
MSN to
Yeah,
BHM
Birmingham.
Birmingham, and then back again
Yeah.
on September 12th and 14th. On October 24th, MSN to PDX Portland,
Mhm.
and then back again from Portland the 26th to here. And on November 7th, Seattle to Madison, and then vice versa. Madison to Seattle.
Because that doesn't happen on accident, so that's kind of true.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's specifically targeted for the football fans.
Yeah.
And then Sun Country is also offering flights to Portland as well. So they're actually gonna send a live flight from Minneapolis to Madison, Madison to Portland, Portland, Madison, and then Madison to Minneapolis back again. So people can, those flights are live to Minneapolis if you have to travel to Minneapolis on Sun Country.
Should cross out the 10.
Yeah, whatever the number is now.
38.
Talk about having to update the presentation.
Exactly. It's just.
Then we get into Madison visitors with Destination Madison, supporting direct flights with their marketing campaigns, and Ellie can speak to this a lot better than I can, but they target markets that they've seen the most
We have direct,
travel. Yeah,
direct travel to.
right. What
On the balance between corporate travel and recreational or leisure travel. Is there one that hits more relevant to the airport's decision, or are they looking for, well, I mean, obviously better than both, but
Yeah.
I know Ellie has given other presentations about Destination Madison's focus on leisure travel and how hotel nights and otherwise have flipped post-pandemic, and there's been shifts in kind of the overall balance. I'm curious if that trend or those concerns also translate to the airport and airlines decisions.
It sure does. So pre-pandemic, we were predominantly a business oriented airport with over, I believe it was 70% business travel. Post-pandemic, we've had it was a leisure-led recovery, so we've lost a lot of flights and a lot of passenger traffic, business traffic to those destinations. But since over the past few years, that business travel has been coming back, rebounding, and we're seeing that growth. Last year, we were second highest passenger count, both enplanements and deplanements, overall passenger travel. We were about 20,000 people short of enplanements of, our record 2019 year. So if we
Out
have,
of like 2 million, right? So
Yeah.
it's still close, so.
yeah, so, yeah, we had 2.38 million in 2019 and 2.35 in 2024. But in terms of enplanements, we were 1.19 compared to 1.17. So yeah, like 20,000 short. We had 4 or 5 extra days in the year. We would match that. But we're on trend to beat that record year this year. So we're up 6% year to date in terms of enplanements, which is great to see. And those additional flights, increased frequency, definitely helps out, and that business travel definitely came back. But to answer your question on if airlines make decisions based on business versus leisure, they sure do. So the more that we can show that Epic and other businesses that travel, they'll cater to those markets. And then if we have a data to show that leisure travel is up, what's a big thing is second home data, or second property data in Florida, you know. Wisconsinites love to travel to Florida. A lot of people that live here have second properties in Florida. That's why we have so much Florida service during the winter. So Sun Country picks up on that.
3 hours
Seasonal.
Fort Myers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all that goes into play. And then another thing that airlines don't see is the Madison-Dane County visitors. Huge numbers or huge data to show is what kind of hotels we have opening up, how many rooms we have, how many people stay, number of overnights, things like that. Tourism and leisure trends is big, and that's where Ellie steps in a lot and helps us out with that. Because airlines don't have access to that information. They rely on the community to provide that information. And this is a great slide to kind of highlight what we have coming in for the future, what hotels opened up last year, what are coming up this year. So airlines love to see that kind of growth as well.
Are you seeing similar increases in private jet flights?
That's kind of hard to track. I don't have access to that data. There's operations does have like a database that does that, but a lot of the times, if it's not scheduled, it's not going to show up. Sometimes they are private or they don't share their flight information. But we do see GA, general aviation trends going upwards as well. So there is a little bit of that. But those guys don't provide, in terms of like airport revenue, don't provide as much revenue as commercial flights obviously do. So, but I'll dig into that and I can answer that question for you.
I'm thinking about getting a private jet.
Well, I was just curious if that trend line's going up, that seems to go well, just, you know.
I think generally, it's, we talked to
Yeah.
43 North guys.
Yeah.
Those places.
Yeah.
We have a significant amount of corporate owned planes.
We do, yeah. So AmFam or American Family.
Omega.
Is that kind of the impetus for talking about international airports was private jet?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly answer that question because it's
Yeah.
more political, but yes.
That was more the
It
impetus.
is, yeah, so in aggregate, one of the arguments for international is it's not just the commercial airlines, it's also general aviation.
Yeah.
They provided numbers somewhere between 100 and 150 flights that are international coming on private aircraft. Those then, of course, have to land at custom space, right? Could be Appleton, could be Milwaukee, could be Chicago,
Yeah,
Minneapolis,
right.
wherever. Then would come onto here. The other one, actually, the third prong of that is the guard. So if any of the F-35s go into combat, or not combat, just into international airspace and they land, they would have to come in through another airport before they land here as well. Which is, I don't know the numbers there, but it's not
Yeah, it's not-
significant.
yeah. I'm not honestly too sure,
Yeah.
but I have to double check that.
Yeah. So maybe just discount what I just said, because
Military might go a little different, but
Right.
yeah, but the bigger stuff like C-17s and like C-130s, I believe, yeah, they have.
I mean, fine,
Yeah,
yeah, that's right, that's great.
Real quick, just to put a feather in the cap of this conversation, does it look like MSN will become an international airport and will it get that designation?
You want me to answer that question? Yeah, yes, I mean, look, I think that the Dane County Regional Airport is operated by Dane County. The head of the airport is County Executive Melissa Hager. She's now hired our Mark Capco. Well, we're in the middle of that process. The airport commission did approve him last night. But there are two, another commission, the Public Works and Transportation Commission, and then of course the full board has to approve him. But we hope that should go smoothly. It was unanimous last night. Some great questions. But he, yeah, were you there?
I wasn't, no.
Still on my screen. Who's there? Who's not there? He did a fantastic job. And certainly County Executive Lakeard's one of her big parts of the airport is to bring international service to the airport. And she said it very clearly at the DMI event. She's been on the front foot of this. I think it was part of her decision-making criteria with Mark Pepco. So yes, but what I would warn is, you would know better than me, it takes significant time for that to happen, right? There's a lot of hurdles to get over, infrastructure, regulation, just to name a few.
Yeah.
But I think there certainly is the will to have it happen.
Right, yeah, so it's I guess touchy subject.
No, let's move on to the next thing.
I'm sorry,
but
He gives me the touchy stuff.
I want to bring into that, that's the beauty of our new county exec. She's not passing, she's been very aggressive on it. We're gonna do future of the Line Center, the international, understanding that, what you do. Then Duluth was international, right?
It is, so, and he has experience with the new director,
And
the new
so-
director is from Duluth.
And all the, I don't know, 1 + 1 = 2 on the international, but. Start that process, keeps us just dynamic as it is, but you have a county exec. That sits in those Alliance Center meetings, I'm here, the deputy's behind, we have a whole different thing where Dane County is gonna be. Really help us out economically, so I think that's fantastic.
I can unequivocally say the county executive Agard has been an absolute champion for the airport in her first 6-7 months we are now. She's been an absolute pleasure to work with. She's dug in on the airport issues. I think she made a great interim hire with Bill Legore. Bill is
Yeah, Bill's
a
great.
class act, who's the interim director right now. He's worked there for a long time, knows the airport. We are just very thankful for her leadership. She's been excellent so far, and I think big days are coming for the airport.
Sure are.
Thanks to Tom.
Yeah.
And me, Tom.
I'll move on. Then we highlight some legacy events, how many attendees we have per event. And then something that you guys are probably the most interested in is the actual air service at Madison. So these are the destinations that we currently serve, 17 nonstop destinations with LA and Fort Myers served seasonally, as well as Miami.
Well, and this is now even off, right? Because now what are we about 45 flights probably you're gonna have a day?
Yeah, so yeah, this is as of last month. I'm currently working on the presentation for next
Yeah.
month. So this is.
Because there was
last
some
month's data.
service added that he and I, so just so you all know, American added, which he told us in Green Bay, added another daily to Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Which
so
is at 5:09 AM. It's a new earlier flight. And then Chicago,
yeah, there's significant.
yeah, at 5 AM. So there's actually options. You can get into the hub system really quickly. Yes, I took one of those flights.
Overseas.
Correct. It was 5 AM in Chicago. You land at like 6.
Yeah.
And you then get fully into the system like that there before their first flights take off. We talked to their station managers and they were very excited about
Yeah.
bringing this a couple of months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And so you see increased capacity to existing markets, which just gives us so many more options.
It sure does. Yeah, better connectivity. And yeah, highlight on the Philadelphia. American told us their Philadelphia hub is a gateway to Europe. So that's why they've added those extra flights throughout the summer months.
Early in the morning in particular, right? So you could then get out.
So we're very grateful. And I'll get into a little bit more detail about American, but yeah, our year-over-year flights are scheduled to be up 9% and seats are up 4%, so we're growing. Here's our traffic and capacity trends. Big dip. So this is year-end data. So it kind of lags behind, but over the past 3 years, we've been consistently over 80% load factor, closer to 85, 86%, meaning load factor is air seat miles over revenue passenger miles. So it's pretty much butts and seats, how full these aircraft are. But we've been on an upwards trend in terms of passengers as well as capacity. So it's kind of following that same line. Here we get into fare trends. We're obviously a higher fared market compared to Milwaukee or O'Hare, and then compared to the US average as well. On average, fares are $58 higher than Milwaukee, 53 than O'Hare, and 54 higher than the US domestic average. Airlines like to see that. It's an opportunity to capitalize on high fare environment through stimulation and revenue. Obviously, they're looking to make a profit as well, but the more competition that is added, the lower our fares can go. And hopefully we can trend downwards, with that. Here I get into a little bit of fare comparisons compared to our peer markets, or not peer markets, just kind of competitor markets, Milwaukee and O'Hare. Largest difference for Milwaukee was with Las Vegas, with fares at Madison being $106 higher, and at O'Hare, Atlanta fares were $130 higher than Madison.
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
Maybe you'll get to this, but how much of that is, or do you know, is driven by the airline mix, service Madison versus, you know, say Milwaukee, where you mentioned some of the service reductions that in Spirit, and JetBlue, or maybe some other, what you might call, budget carriers, low cost carriers, no frills, that sort of thing, right? And fares are only one part of the pricing model that airlines have these days with baggage fees and otherwise. So, I mean, is that all incorporated in here, or is this just specifically like sticker price on it?
Yeah, this is just average one-way fare, so it's not including ancillary fares like you're saying, the bag fees, seat upgrades, things like that.
Okay.
It's just straight, just an average of one-way direction.
Right. But presumably some of the airlines like a Delta or American probably have an average fare across their network that's higher than some of the other low cost.
Of course, yeah.
Other-
It sure is. And then if we do have markets that are kind of shared between low cost carrier and a legacy carrier like Delta, American or United. They tend to kind of lower their fares to match those low cost carriers because they can take a hit, but for the most part, yes, the fares are higher on those legacy carriers. Although, like I said, airline economics is kind of wonky, so they kind of set up seats where if they see seats are selling out fast at a certain price, their algorithm will change that bank of seats to a higher price, and then like it's just very dynamic and
If I search for flight on Tuesday and I go back.
yeah, right. It's
They literally invented revenue management. Pay system that hotels now.
Hotels use it too.
The airline started.
Tom, I got a quick question. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna get to it or not, but this is all about us trying to attract airlines to, you know, want to serve Madison, but do you flip the script and try to think about what are those destinations we want? And right, and how do you come up with that?
Absolutely.
We really need a flight to Hilton Head,
Yep.
whatever it is, right, Charleston?
Is that personal?
So, no,
Yes.
it's not, it's just, it came on the top of my mind. So how do we then make sure that, first of all, how do you find out where we want to go? Is there surveys that are done, or do you just ask that Epic? Because you take care of it.
No, wait,
Or, you know,
So what I look at, it's updated on a quarterly basis. Airlines put out their data. It's like a 3-month lag. They have 3 months to show the previous quarter's data. And it shows our OND passengers. I'll get into that in the next few slides. But that means origin and destination. So it shows passengers that originate in Madison and then where they end up at their destination. So that connection point doesn't matter. It's where they end up.
okay.
And then it shows us how many passengers per day each way, which is PDEW, PDEW. And that number changes a lot. So it depends, but we'll see how many passengers per day each way are going to a certain destination. And that's how we kind of base our decision, as well as the airlines do as well.
And then we go to that meeting and say, oh, look,
We really want Charles.
PDU is really high in Las Vegas. We also think there might be some induced demand.
Yep.
We also think there's something called leakage, which
Yeah.
Tom will get into, where we lose to other airports. And so it paints a picture saying, we want these markets. And I don't know if you're gonna go, but and this chamber has done some surveying information on the companies. So it's clear that we're looking at Seattle, San Francisco, Boston, LA, Houston, Las Vegas, and a few other cities. Just the numbers are there.
Got it.
So the interest of time, we have about 5
Yeah.
minutes left. You maybe want to jump ahead.
Yeah, sure thing. OND passenger share, American surpassed Delta being our largest carrier with 35% in Q3. That's gonna go up even more Q1, Q2 of this year. But American, Delta, and United flew 92% of passengers out of Madison. So it's the legacy carriers that are carrying most of the passengers, with the low-cost carriers like Frontier and Sun Country and Breeze with a little less. So like Jason mentioned, we did a true market catchment area study. Mead and Hunt provided this one. This is for year-end Q1 2024. So it's a catchment area of 95 zip codes around the area with a population estimated over 800,000 people. We found that 36% of customers use airports other than Madison. And here's a breakdown of that. So both domestic and international, we retain 64% of passengers, whereas 21% leak to O'Hare, and then 13% leak to Milwaukee, and then 2% other, whether it be like Rockford, Appleton, or other airports in the area. But that's an opportunity for airlines to see that if you brought a market into Madison, that from that catchment area, we can attract those customers to fly out of Madison instead of driving over to Milwaukee or O'Hare. Internationally, if you see those numbers, O'Hare takes 52% of those customers, which makes sense. If you want a direct flight to Amsterdam or Paris or wherever, rather than connecting. And then here's our true market. So like your question, so it shows how many passengers per day each way we have. So Denver and Phoenix and New York are our top 3 markets. And this is with the leakage data. So over 280 people per day to Denver. And then like Jason said, our highest unserved markets currently are Boston, Seattle at 9 and 10. With 119 and 103 people per day each way. But if you could see that percentage change or percentage split out of Madison, 39% fly out of or fly to Seattle, 33 out of O'Hare, 22 out of Milwaukee. So there's a lot of percentage of people that we can retain here in Madison if we did have like a Seattle flight.
And this does not include induced demand, which is very important. I don't know if you go to the Las Vegas example, but for a while we had, what's our PDU 82, 81 on Las Vegas? But when the flight was actually being operated by Frontier,
Yeah,
we're
we had
getting,
like 120.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
that's the real number.
yeah, if that market is there, people are more likely to fly out of it. So those numbers can be kind of lower than what it actually is. And then this is the airport. Covers 3,500 acres. We have 3 runways where it switches. There it is. So we're capable of taking any aircraft that we can. The only thing that we can't, or we can even land an A380, that double decker. It can't take off out of there.
I think he did fly out of there.
But then we also highlight obviously our new terminal expansion that opened up 2 years ago in June, adding 3 gates. And then we get into our estimated cost per enplanement, which is 1066. Then the airport also offers a community air service support program where we can offer incentives for airlines to come in and help them out with marketing money as well as abatement of landing fees. Final thoughts, in today's climate, airports must align their goals with airline strategy and be realistic, especially during economic uncertainty. Retaining existing service is just as critical as adding new routes. Securing new service is harder than ever, but it's not impossible. With the help of our community, our businesses, the airport and the government leadership, we can definitely paint Madison in a very bright light and hope to have more service. And your support plays a crucial role. By flying locally, you show airlines that there's more demand for flights and destination, helping us expand service. So if you drive to Milwaukee, if you drive to O'Hare, airlines see that stuff, and they'll say, look, these people from Madison are driving there. Why should we add another flight out of Madison? So if you do fly locally, airlines do see that. The more people that we have flying out of our airport, the more demand that we see. The airlines see that as well, and then that's what entices them to kind of start a new service or add frequency to whatever destination that they see growth in. So, sorry, that was kind of long.
Nailed it.
But
No, right. You said you would share your contact information?
yes, yep,
Great.
I sure will.
So if there's follow-up questions and otherwise you can reach out.
Yeah, reach out to me too. I can get you connected.
I just want to say, which This is very helpful. I almost think that if you even did an ad on TV or something, how nice that airport is. I mean, all the food facilities coming off, how easy it is to park there. I think people forget it. So once you do it, add it in Philadelphia once for the overseas, because that early start, because you're 7 hour difference when you get over there, you don't necessarily have to go back to Charlotte. I think that's fantastic because anybody that goes to O'Hare and they come back, they just are so pissed at themselves. They don't go for- That's fantastic because, and plus we're the size and how nice it is. And, plus you forget, Massillon has an airport.
Yep.
We don't have to travel to those other airports. I mean, when you go there, we're so fortunate that they have.
Quickly before we go, Del, you have a question?
Yeah, kind of touching on what we were just talking about there and the last slide, marketing efforts, how are we getting these flights, in front of Gen Z for traveling, both recreationally and for business? And what is the breakdown between DCRA's role in that and the airlines in terms of marketing?
Sure thing. So our Director of Marketing and Communications, Michael Rickers, he's currently on parental leave now, but he's coming back next week. He takes care of all the marketing efforts to cater to these markets. And him and his marketing team, consultant that he works with, looks at that data, looks at our new flights, and they kind of push those out, whether it be on social media, they're advertising at UW. He has many marketing efforts and events that he does. And our roles kind of commingle. So it's he takes the lead on that kind of stuff, but I provide him all the data, whatever new routes that we have or routes that I see growing. We kind of take those marketing efforts and push them that way in those directions. So for example, his latest one that he's working on is like the Dubuque area. They're kind of losing service. So out west, he's trying to attract people from the western part of the state and even Iowa over there to come to Madison to use our airport to fly out of Madison. So the larger our catchment can be, the better that we can, the better that we become. So and then obviously the marketing efforts that Ellie provides is huge as well. So it's not only the airport putting it out, it's also Destination Madison and the rest of the Madison community.
Great. Peggy, you have a question?
I actually wanted to just share some great news. This is the first time we're revealing it for economic development purposes. Our company has partnered with the shops at the airport, and we are curating local businesses and who will sell their products right in the airport. So it's a new initiative they're doing to promote business. So we've been working on it for many, many months, and I think we're within days of bringing all these businesses together, but lots of local businesses, products made here in Dane County. Some are Wisconsin themed as well, but many of them are made right here. So we're really excited about that.
Also, I think that's great.
Thanks for the update, Peggy. Hey, if we wanted to get this PowerPoint off you, Tom, how do I get it?
Yeah, just email me. Yeah, or then I got your card here. Yeah,
Great. Well, we're a little bit tense out here, but thank you all for being here this morning, especially as we talk about the day after the annual celebration. And thank you to Tom. Huge thanks. This is an incredibly detailed, insightful, informative presentation, but also told a great story about Madison and the greater Madison area. So appreciate your time. And thanks for continued hard work.
and thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome job. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you at the next meeting. Have a great rest of the week.